In the previous segment, we explored how Western analysts have come to realize that their initial perceptions of the Russian military's weaknesses were misguided. The speed of Russia's adaptation and its ability to learn from mistakes have taken many by surprise, leading British experts to describe the situation as a hellish firestorm. Now, the stakes have escalated dramatically. Ukrainian air defense systems are struggling to cope with an overwhelming number of threats. Reports indicate that missile supplies are dwindling faster than new shipments can arrive. In this dire scenario, even the most advanced Western systems are proving ineffective. Analysts are sounding alarms. If the intensity of attacks continues to rise, by the end of 2025, Ukraine could lose a significant portion of its critical industries. This would paralyze its defense sector, making the nation even more reliant on foreign aid. But that's not all. Leaked information suggests that Russia is preparing for even larger-scale assaults, potentially deploying thousands of drones simultaneously. Experts are calling this a nightmare scenario for any air defense system. As destructive strikes continue, Western media increasingly highlight the growing strength of Russia. Bloomberg columnist Mark Champion bluntly states, "It's time to stop debating whether there is a real threat from Russia. It exists." NATO officials have recognized that direct confrontation with Moscow could be extremely risky, with some scenarios even leading to defeat. The Russian military has not only maintained its positions over 3 years of conflict but has also strengthened them. The number of combat units has doubled since the conflict began in 2022, and production of weapons and ammunition has surged. The experience gained in battle has made the army more flexible and adaptive. Western generals are particularly focused on the development of drone technology and electronic warfare capabilities, where Russia is reportedly outpacing NATO. A small number of advanced systems cannot compete with the mass production and high adaptability of Russian drones. As the tension mounts, the question looms, how will Ukraine respond to this relentless onslaught? The clock is ticking, and the consequences of inaction could be catastrophic. In the previous segment, we explored how Russia could strike at the heart of NATO's unity by targeting a Baltic nation like Estonia, forcing European leaders into a perilous decision-making situation. The stakes grow higher as indecision could unravel the very foundation of the alliance. As this critical moment unfolds, many analysts believe that Moscow seeks to exploit procrastination within the European corridors. The situation is dire. While Europe dances along at a bureaucratic pace befitting peacetime, Russia capitalizes on every chance to bolster its military might. There's a chilling realization among Western generals: the threat from Moscow has transformed into an undeniable reality. This recognition stirs a deep-seated fear within NATO's command centers. It's not just about military power anymore, it's about the speed and agility with which Russia adapts and evolves in its war strategy. Each day, the specter of Russian aggression looms larger. What does this mean for global security? Can NATO's historically rigid structure withstand the pressing demands of modern warfare? With aged strategies quickly proving obsolete, the urgency for reform has never been clearer. But as they scramble to catch up, could NATO find itself facing a giant that has already outpaced its defenses? Amidst this turmoil, whispers of imminent large-scale operations circulate. Reports emerge of thousands of drones prepared to be unleashed, shifting the very nature of aerial combat. What would happen if coordinated strikes overwhelmed NATO defenses? British experts warn that the risk of collapse under such concentrated attacks is real. The consequences of a single miscalculation could lead to catastrophic fallout across Europe. Can Western nations adapt fast enough, or will they find themselves overwhelmed by an enemy that seems to be a step ahead? As the echoes of distant conflict grow louder, one question becomes ever more urgent: is the West prepared for a confrontation that could reshape the balance of power? Amid escalating tensions, the situation in Ukraine has reached a critical turning point. Analysts warn that without industrial revival, Ukraine risks plunging deeper into financial despair, teetering on the brink of dependency. The narrative has shifted dramatically, as Russian strategy morphs from targeted strikes into a full-scale assault on Ukraine's military economy, striking at the heart of its defense infrastructure. Now, the onslaught is aimed not merely at isolated warehouses or repair facilities, but at the very systems underpinning the military-industrial complex. Consider the devastating strike on a production facility for drones and missile engines. This operation didn't just destroy equipment, it dismantled expertise, as foreign engineers responsible for maintaining advanced technologies were also lost. The ramifications are catastrophic, double losses of critical machinery and skilled personnel. Additionally, the obliteration of an aircraft repair hangar and drone assembly center signifies a direct blow to the development of new weapon systems. This strike can only be interpreted as a deliberate attempt to sabotage entire sectors of Ukraine's defense initiatives. The situation worsens with reports indicating that a temporary base housing foreign instructors training drone operators has also been hit. This event stokes concern in Western circles, with military experts now deeming the presence of their personnel in Ukraine increasingly perilous. Meanwhile, Russian ground forces are not idly waiting. Reports from Western media herald a surge in troop advancement, now occurring at double the speed compared to earlier this year. Where once the offensive carved slowly through defenses, it is now surging with confidence and scale. The New York Times highlights the effective use of accumulated reserves and enhanced communication tools, presenting a more cohesive military command. This evolution reveals a shocking truth: initial assessments of the Russian army's frailty were fundamentally flawed. The speed and ability to learn from past missteps have caught many off guard. British analysts describe the unfolding chaos as a hellish firestorm, indicating that Western defenses are increasingly overwhelmed. The question looms: how long can Ukraine withstand this relentless barrage before succumbing to the cumulative strain of an unyielding assault? The clock is ticking, and the stakes have never been higher. In the corridors of NATO, a troubling sentiment is brewing. With immense resources at our disposal, the West is still too sluggish. While plans for military exercises that would showcase the alliance's rapid response capabilities to eastern borders stretch to 2027, Europe remains exposed. At this juncture, indecision could shatter the very trust underpinning NATO, and many analysts suggest this is precisely what Moscow aims for. As tensions escalate, a retired British general, Rupert Smith, bluntly cautions, "We may need to fight with what we have today, and that may not be enough to deter the Kremlin." His statement encapsulates the growing alarm. The new military divisions aren't ready, and existing forces seem to lag in capability enhancement. Even America's formidable airborne divisions are experimenting with tactics to navigate a battlefield where tens of thousands of drones eliminate traditional maneuvers and cover. Meanwhile, Europe's rapid response units are merely in formation, lacking a complete suite of capabilities. Another pressing concern? Logistics. Unlike Ukraine, where Western aid is relatively safeguarded by supply routes through allied nations, NATO may find itself under fire from the outset of any conflict. Every port, railway, or storage facility in Europe would become a legitimate target for Russian missile strikes. Experts agree that the current infrastructure would severely hamper troop and supply mobilization, fundamentally altering the rules of engagement. In 2022, many in the West presumed the Russian military was weakened, incapable of conducting significant operations. Today, that assessment has dramatically shifted. The Russian military has reinforced its ranks, escalated arms production, and gained valuable combat experience, making it significantly more formidable. In fact, what alarms Western generals is not just Russia's capacity to strike, but Moscow's relentless resolve to achieve its broader objectives, reclaiming its status as a great power in Europe, subjugating former Soviet territories, and eroding NATO's unity. But what if the stakes are even higher? Analysts speculate that Moscow does not need to directly invade Poland or other nations. Instead, undermining Article 5 of the North Atlantic Treaty, the Collective Defense Clause, may be sufficient. If a strike against a Baltic state, like Estonia, occurs, European leaders would be tasked with decision-making under enormous pressure. Would they act decisively or hesitate, risking further disarray in the alliance? The clock is ticking, and with each day, the urgency mounts. The real question remains: can NATO's resolve withstand such a gambit? In a chilling escalation of military strategy, experts have come to acknowledge a staggering reality: Russia is outpacing NATO. While the West has relied on a limited number of advanced systems, Russia's mass production and adaptability of drones have painted a daunting picture. British General Rupert Smith has voiced the unspoken fears haunting defense circles: "We will have to fight with what we have today, and it may not be enough to hold back the Kremlin." This stark warning encapsulates a growing anxiety, as the landscape of warfare shifts beneath our feet. As the effectiveness of the Iskander missile system becomes glaringly apparent, even the American Patriot systems struggle to intercept these precision advancements. Armed with escalating accuracy and resilience, these Russian missiles now target not just launch installations but strategic command points as well. The dominance the West once basked in appears diminished, a wisp of smoke in the clear sky of military innovation. Yet, the unexpected speed of adaptation from the Russian armed forces has garnered a begrudging respect, even from Allied ranks. Recent discussions at a British security conference revealed a profound shift in mindset among military experts. No longer is the primary concern whether Russia will confront NATO, it's a more pressing question of when and where this confrontation could erupt. Official statements from Moscow claim an intention to refrain from attacking alliance nations, yet skepticism lingers among Western generals, who are increasingly more worried about potential vulnerabilities. A particular concern is the Baltic region, often seen as a potential flashpoint. Danish intelligence estimates that Russia could be prepared for a limited offensive in just 6 months, a regional war in 2 years, and a full-scale conflict within 5. These timelines have drastically decreased from earlier projections, igniting urgent discussions around military reform on the Western Front. The rapid restructuring of large corps that were considered obsolete in the post-Soviet landscape is now in motion. Military leaders from Britain and America openly declare that without an accelerated preparedness strategy, NATO risks falling behind. Alarmingly, experts within the alliance emphasize, even with vast resources, the West is progressing too slowly. Exercises designed to verify the capacity for rapid troop deployment to eastern borders are not scheduled until 2027, leaving Europe exposed in the interim. Could it be that the very foundations of security we once relied upon are on the brink of collapse? As the shadow of Russian military might looms ever larger, will NATO's delays prove catastrophic? The previous segment highlighted how Russia's careful winter preparation, building reserves, enhancing communication systems, and fine-tuning tactics, has led to a significant uptick in the precision and coordination of its strikes. Devastation is now being delivered not just to isolated facilities but to the very heart of Ukraine's military-industrial complex. Now, Western reports confirm that Russian drone and missile assaults have escalated dramatically in both intensity and scale. Last year, a mass attack comprised around 30 drones. Today, hundreds swarm the skies. U.S. intelligence warns that we might see thousands deployed in a single wave soon. The new Garand drone variant is particularly alarming, capable of flying at various altitudes with increased speed and payload. These drones aren't flying solo. They're now supported by reconnaissance units that pinpoint targets in real time. The result? A skyrocketing efficiency that has left Ukrainian defenses scrambling. Analysts from the UK liken Russian aerial assaults to a relentless firestorm, nearly impossible to outrun or outmaneuver. Western militaries are at a crossroads, grappling with the unprecedented scale of this drone warfare and struggling to devise countermeasures. In the face of this shift, the focus has turned from disabling specific targets to obliterating entire infrastructures essential to Ukraine's defense capabilities. Strikes against factories producing engines for drones and anti-ship missiles have underscored this drastic shift. The rationale becomes chillingly clear: if you eliminate the factories, the energy systems won't matter because there will be nothing left to power. This nightmare scenario extends beyond immediate loss. It threatens the very essence of Ukraine's ability to recover. Western experts caution that, without swift restoration attempts, Ukraine risks sinking into a debt crisis, further shackling its autonomy. As Russia's strategy morphs from surgical strikes to a widespread campaign aimed at dismantling the military economy, the stakes could not be higher. But what does this mean for the future balance of power in the region? Can the West adapt quickly enough to counteract this dramatic shift? In the ashes of destruction, is there any hope left for recovery, or are the lights of Ukrainian factories flickering perilously close to extinction? As the smoke clears, one question echoes through the chaos: will Ukraine endure this unprecedented storm? As the conflict intensifies, the stakes have never been higher. After a period of precise strikes aimed at specific projects within Ukraine's military-industrial complex, Russia has now shifted its strategy to a systematic dismantling of the entire industrial base. Analysts warn that if this pace continues, Ukraine could suffer catastrophic losses, potentially losing a critical part of its defense industry by the end of 2025. One of the most alarming incidents involved the obliteration of an underground facility that manufactured engines for Neptune anti-ship missiles and multiple launch rocket systems. At that moment, the air was thick with dust and the acrid smell of burning metal, as explosions cascaded through the structure. The impact was devastating. Foreign specialists who maintained advanced machinery were also killed, amplifying the blow to Ukraine's capabilities. Moreover, facilities that housed remote control systems for drone boats were destroyed, along with vital equipment and assembled technologies. Hangars meant for aircraft repair and drone assembly were not spared, crippling future defensive projects. A forward base accommodating foreign instructors training Ukrainian drone operators was targeted, raising alarms in allied nations. Military analysts emphasize that Russian forces have identified vulnerabilities within the Ukrainian defenses, particularly in logistics and industrial sectors. The constant barrage of attacks has put these critical systems on the brink of total collapse. U.S. publication New York Times reports that Russian troops are advancing at unprecedented speeds, capturing territory at a pace comparable to November of last year, but now with far greater stability. Could this relentless advance signify a turning point in the war? Observers note that this rapid progression has doubled compared to earlier offensives. The winter months allowed Russia to stockpile resources, enhance communication systems, and refine its drone tactics, all crucial in making their offensive efforts more precise and coordinated. The stakes are escalating, and the mounting intensity of Russian assaults foreshadows a grimmer future for Ukraine. As the echoes of missile fire fill the air, how much longer can Ukraine withstand this onslaught? The unfolding scene is one of chaos and urgency, with each day bringing new challenges as the conflict shifts towards a more destructive phase. The very essence of Ukraine's industrial strength hangs in the balance, leading observers to ponder the profound implications of this well-orchestrated military campaign.